I'd just like to congratulate the group as well on a fine job. I saw them on the website and all their success, and I know the boys personally, they do a really good job. Mr. Landry, thank you for what you do, and I believe Mr. O'Hora as well works alongside you. Extend to him my personal thanks and my job well done. So thank you.
Thank you all. At this time, we'll recognize anyone from the audience that cares to address the board. Do we have any? Yes.
Hi. My name is Tammy Kyle, and all of this good news today with Western Wayne School District, I would actually hate to bring this story to you, but I think that it's very important that this gets out. And I've been in contact with Mr. Gadenzi, and I wanted to kind of bring this to light today to the school board. I actually had a whole big speech, but I don't even think I'm going to go through it. I'm a parent. I have 3 children here that come to your school district. One is in middle school, 2 are in the Evergreen School. Back in mid-April, my son Xander was in art class, and I got a phone call from the school nurse, who was very, very helpful. She had told me that Xander had some marker on his face. That she had told me that they tried to get the marker off, and that I should probably check it out when I get home. When I did pick him up, I was actually mortified at what I saw. I have pictures because I think it's very important that you guys see this as well. This is how my son came home. I don't know if everybody can see it. He had magic eraser used by one of the teachers to get this marker off of his face. I had taken the proper steps. I had gone to pediatrician, poison control, taken him to the emergency room. He had first-degree chemical burns on his face from this magic eraser. I had the paper. I came back to the school the next day. I spoke with the school nurse. She was very helpful. She, said that she was going to file the incident report. Everything was well. I asked to speak with Ms. Feliski, the principal. The nurse had actually spoken with Ms. Feliski prior to me going in and sitting in her office. I was actually a little bit disappointed at how I was treated in the office. Xander was with me. He was asked by Ms. Feliski what had happened. He began to tell her. As he was telling her, he was interrupted. Basically, why was he using a Sharpie marker? When the teacher was called down, she admitted to using this magic eraser on my son's face, at which point I became very, very upset. I'm not going to lie, I probably was very disrespectful. I do apologize for that. However, in a case where I bring my children and feel like my children should be protected in the school and I should feel safe, I became a little disappointed. Ms. Feliski had said to me that she will then take it to the superintendent and they will figure out what they're going to do. I at that point had told her that she will report it as a mandated reporter based on the fact that I know the law. I actually am a mandated reporter myself. I am an outpatient mental health therapist for children. This is something that I do every day. To have it come home to me and have to deal with, the trauma of this happening in the school district, it was very personal to me. At that point, Ms. Feliski had said to me, since I am a mandated reporter, I should report this. As a parent, I was furious because this is something that the school should be taking care of as well. This should not be placed back on me as the parent of the child who has been harmed within the school. Pictures of my son's face throughout the week of him healing. Lucky for him, this was only a first-degree burn, and it did not harm him fully. As you can see, he's fully recovered. But it was very, very traumatic. Children and Youth was involved in my life up until I actually received the letter today saying that they closed the case. This based on the fact that Mrs. Sowers, the art teacher who used this magic eraser on my son, refused to meet with them until May 11th, after this happened April 16th. And therefore, he had to go through this. Children and Youth had to be in my life. Children and Youth had to come and visit with him in our home, all of these things. So I do have questions as far as what are the policies on teachers bringing chemical things into school. It was my understanding that it was something that she brought in by herself. I don't think it was vindictive. I think it was negligent. But I think there needs to be a policy on something that can harm a child as far as what teachers are allowed to bring in. My child also has a lot of allergies. Teachers are not really privy to that information because it's stuff that goes to dietary and stuff that goes to the nurse. So even so, she would not know if he was allergic to something because she doesn't have that information. I think that's something else that needs to come to light for these teachers because they're not up on this information. It doesn't go to them. I just think that that's something I think we need to look at as a school district so that something like this doesn't happen to another child, only worse. Thank you for hearing me today.
Thank you. No, that's good information. We're sure that the administration will follow up with you.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mrs. Kyle, was it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone else? Hearing none, the enrollment report, item 12 is provided for your information. Item 13, do we have a motion?
I recommend the Board of Education approve the updated list for graduation on June 19th, 2015, as presented by High School Principal Dr. Matthew Baird, contingent upon having satisfactorily completed all school and state requirements by that date, with the attachment provided to the board. I'll second the motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstaining? The ayes have it unanimously. Item 14, please.
I recommend that the Board of Education authorize the board treasurer and business manager to review purchase orders and bills payable for the end of this fiscal year and approve the payment of 2014-2015 purchase orders or contracts which are in order and ready for payment. Bills processed under this authorization will be reported to the Board of Education at the August board meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstaining?
I'll abstain, Mr. President.
So who would that? Mr. Ganenzi. The motion passes by a vote of 8 yes and 1 abstention by Mr. Ganenzi. Item 15, do we have a motion?
I recommend that the Board of Education authorize the board treasurer and business manager to approve payment of the July 2015 general fund accounts payable and payroll with a report to the Board of Education at the August board meeting.
I'll second it.
The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstaining?
I'll abstain again, Mr. President.
The ayes have it by a vote of 8 yes and 1 abstention by Mr. Ganenzi. Item 16, do we have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approve the recommendation of the business manager to designate a portion of our ending 2014-15 fund balance, if necessary, to manage future budgets as per Governmental Accounting Standards Board Statement Number 54, GASB 54, amount to be determined based on final adjusted balances as reflected in our annual financial report.
I'll second the motion.
The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstaining?
I abstain, Mr. President.
Who was that? Mr. Gonzalez. The ayes have it by a vote of 8 yes and 1 abstention by Mr. Gonzalez. Item 17, do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we recommend that the Board of Education consider the adoption of the following policies as the first reading, except for 707, which we will hold on and review again as listed.
I'll second it.
The motion has been made and seconded, again, approving items listed, accepting policy number 707.
I make a motion to approve policy 707. That's what we're here for. That's what we had a good conversation for at the work session. And as far as I know, just talking to Pat, that it's all in order. And Mr. Sheehan is in charge of that. We had a great conversation. We did what we had to do. Our facilities will be used differently than they were in the past. And it's in order. Am I not right, Mr. Sheehan?
The policy committee has made a suggestion that 707 be held tonight for review.
We,
No, you may not be, but the three of us have decided that.
Why have you decided to hold it?
For
What's
language,
changed?
for language.
What specifically though?
For language that it's inconclusive.
'Cause I know we just got the fresh copy on Friday, I just wanna know what changed
I
in
understand
72
that.
hours.
Doris wasn't here for the work session, so I feel she wasn't able to participate.
the bottom line, it was a great work session. We have problems with our turf field. We have people using it that shouldn't be, and they're abusing our
Well,
field.
I'm sorry, that's going into effect.
That is going
Yes.
into
That
effect.
suspension is going into effect Monday morning,
Okay,
effective next week.
Well,
But
then-
again, and it was brought up to me that there
Okay.
were concerns over the extent of the changes in 707. So if the committee thinks we need to review it, I'm okay with that. It's a first reading anyway.
okay,
The suspension of use is in place. That will,
okay.
that will
Suspension
happen.
of use will be in place.
That will happen. I think that everyone agrees, and that was a big part of the
That was a
conversation.
big part of the
So
conversation.
that part is in place, but I do agree with the committee that, again, if we have a first reading and there are multiple changes that are not just clerical errors, we have to have another first reading anyway. So let's then do the full review, again,
And then we'll sit as a board and discuss the policy again as a whole.
bring it back to us and see where we are.
Fair enough.
But the suspension that you're speaking of, that will go into effect as per the superintendent's letter. I think everybody got a copy.
Yes, yes.
That will be
That will
formalized
be-
and put
that-
into
that-
effect.
okay, thank you.
Okay. So we have one motion on the table, and not to cut you off, Mr. McDonough,
No,
but
that's fine.
we already had a motion that was made and seconded approving the policies listed, accepting item 707. That motion is on the table. Are there any other questions or comments with that motion?
Who seconded that?
Mr. Gershon,
I did.
both committee members. Made by a committee member, seconded by a committee member. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstaining? The ayes have it, approving by the vote of 9-0 to approve all listed accepting item 707. We'll move to 18, summer transportation.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the transportation contracts for the extended school year program, summer 2015, for the following contractors contingent upon enrollment at state formula, all as listed.
I'll second the motion.
Yes. Made by Ms. Fiorella, seconded by Mr. McDonough. The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstaining? The ayes have it unanimously. Item 19.
I move the board approve I recommend the Board of Education approve filing applications for federal program allocations for the 2015-16 school year as follows. A, Title I reading, and B, Title IIA class size reduction.
I'll second that.
The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments?
Yeah, Rose, when do we get those allocations of funds normally from the federal government?
Sometimes June, sometimes it's July before we get them. We have not,
Following year,
as far as I
correct.
know, we have not gotten the finalized for 15, 16. So they'll open up.
Give an
some-
estimate, and it's about 25,000 to 130,000 plus. And last year, because you talked about.
We'll do a budget this month based on
She needs
estimates.
to be actually get the funds.
Yeah.
This,
When
what
they
you're
come to
voting
the
on
funds.
now is allowing Rosemont to open up the application,
I know it does.
to apply for them. And then it's due by June 30th, and then your application is approved by July 1st. You can start to see it.
So we have the money going into 15-16. It's not something that we're getting at the end of the year.
No.
Because
But
I just
they
want the
adjust it
timeline.
quarterly. They adjust it quarterly, because it changes all the time.
My question is because with the state of Pennsylvania, we have a very hard time in allocating whether it be
Yes, this is different.
Medicaid funds or Plan Con money. I would like to know what the federal government's like
Yeah,
to deal
this
with.
is different, we receive our funds.
We receive it monthly and then they make an adjustment quarterly based on if there's a change in their final budget.
As you guys did allude though, the federal government continues to cut our funding for Title I programming, which has forced us to take Title I reading out of the R.D. Wilson School a few years back. And that's the federal government at its best. The children that need it the most are being left out in the cold because they continue to get funding for their needs. It's despicable.
Any other questions or comments?
I just wanted to say one thing. While the federal government does, AJ, you are correct, continues taking away our funding, I think we do a really good job of making sure no kid is left out in the cold, and I think we've covered that in R.D. Wilson fairly well. I think so, good job.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Any abstaining? The ayes have it by a vote of 8 yes and 1 no by Mr. Lindo. Item 20, do we have a motion?
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the joint educational partnership between Western Wayne School District and the Scranton-Lackawanna Human Development Agency Incorporated Head Start Program effective July 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2016.
I'll second it.
The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments?
Are those for both of our elementary buildings?
Yes.
Are there any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Any abstaining? The ayes have it by a vote of 8 yes and 1 no by Mr. Lindo. Item 21, do we have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the early intervention insurance for the operation of special education services and programs for the 2015-16 program year.
I'll second it.
The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Any abstaining? The ayes have it by a vote of 8 yes and 1 no by Mr. Lindo. Item 22, do we have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve a special education memorandum of understanding among the Wayne Highlands, Wallen-Paulpack area, and Western Wayne school districts.
I'll second the motion.
The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstaining? The ayes have it unanimously. Item 23, please.
I move that the Board of Education approve the memorandum of understanding among the Western Wayne School District, the Wayne County District Attorney's Office, and the Pennsylvania State Police.
I'll second that.
The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstaining? The ayes have it unanimously. Item 24.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the memorandum of understanding among Western Wayne School District and the NEIU number 19 for Title III Consortia for the 2015-2016 school year.
I'll second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstaining? The ayes have it unanimously. Item 25.
I recommend.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the cafeteria meal prices for the 15-16 school year as listed.
I'll second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments?
Can we just reiterate for the public how much of an increase we're seeing?
On the lunch prices, there's a 15-cent increase. There's no increase on any of the breakfast prices.
Are there any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstaining? The ayes have it unanimously. Item 25B, please.
I move that the Board of Education approve the cafeteria a la carte prices for the 2015-16 school year. Attachment 2.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstaining? The ayes have it unanimously. Item 26, and we'll take this inclusive A through E.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve Western Wayne School District's participation in the following software services being offered by CSIU, which is the Central Susquehanna Intermediate Unit for the 2015-16 school year.
Second it.
The motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or comments?
Just have a question. Are there other intermediate units that, that offer services besides this one?
Not this type of service, but they all offer different services throughout the state.
Yeah.
This is the only intermediate unit that I'm aware of that offers the software. There are other companies that offer it, but not an intermediate unit.
We've always done business with CSIU.
As long as I'm here, we have, yeah.
Are there any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstaining?
I'll abstain.
The ayes have it by a vote of 8 yes and 1 abstention by Mr. Gadenzi. Item 27.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the purchase of a playground equipment for the Evergreen Elementary School through state contract with a cost not to exceed $45,000 installed.